Hey, it's time for this week's market report. The graph that I'm going to show you at the end of the report is going to be quite surprising. So let's get right to it. My name is Sean Price. I'm with eXp Realty, the Price and Price group here at eXp Realty. And again, I'm shooting this video out in the field and to get kind of the general pulse of what's going on in the market. And so what's interesting is that we're still seeing a continuation of what was happening last week. We're having some properties that are moving for multiple offers, and then some properties that are sitting for a week or two. And it's definitely becoming more realistic. Sellers are having to be very much more realistic with their pricing. Condition of the property does matter. It feels like there's a lot of inventory that's come on, and when we get to the graph, you're going to understand why. So that increase in inventory has given an increase in competition on the sell side. So therefore, buyers are having choices. So properties that are being overpriced, or properties that are just being put on the market in whatever condition and aren't priced appropriately, they're sitting. And properties that are priced well, prepped well, and in good locations, they're still moving with multiple offers. So from the buy side, it's very important to be very strategic. Make sure that your agent is doing research on the property. Make sure that they're talking to the selling agent to find out what the strategies are. For example, some listings are saying there's an offer deadline by Tuesday at noon, but then by Saturday the property's off the market because they're getting a strong offer. And then others are saying there's a deadline of Tuesday at noon, and they hold fast to that no matter how many offers come in. So it's important to understand that so that you know strategically what you're doing with your offer. And then also just knowing, are you competing against other offers? Do you need to use an escalation clause? Do you need to go in with just a straight, flat, strong offer? There's a little more strategy that's starting to creep into the offer process versus just giving everything away. So that's on the buyer side. Just make sure that you have a strategic agent that is doing the research and helping guide you appropriately. On the sales side, it's still a great time to sell your home. The buyers are out there. You're going to see in the graph that inventory has increased, but purchasing activity has increased even more. So the buyers are definitely there. It's just you have to be more strategic. You have to actually think about what is the condition of my property and price it appropriately. You may go over ask. If you price your property appropriately, you're going to get the attention and you're going to end up getting above asking price. If you overprice your property, those properties are tending to sit on the market right now. And what's funny about it is people that are pricing appropriately are actually getting more than the properties that are overpriced because they're getting the attention, and the overpriced property is just sitting there. So sellers, great time to sell. Still a lot of buyers out there looking. There's still an inventory shortage, but you've got to be more realistic with your listing, and you have to be more considerate of price and condition and location. Buyers, make sure your agent is being very strategic and doing the research. Okay, let's get to the graph so you can actually see graphically what's going on, and that'll help kind of explain what the pulse of the market is. All right, let's go over to the graph now.
Okay, so here's what, excuse me, what has been happening statistically over the last 7 days. So you can see inventory here. This is the blue line. Inventory last week took a significant jump here, and I mentioned that I expected the buyer activity to respond appropriately and jump as well over the next 7 days. So this was the previous 7 days of inventory increasing, and here's what buyer activity did in response to that. So then this last 7 days, inventory jumped even more. It jumped 20% again. So inventory has taken a significant spike in the last 14 days, and buyer activity has responded appropriately. And then what ended up happening is buyer activity, or what will end up happening in my prediction, is this buyer activity will get even higher next week. So you can see last week when we reported, we had this intersection of buyer activity and inventory, which is what got us to our first neutral market in several months. But the gap is back again. Buyers had inventory to buy, buyers purchased, so there's a huge gap again. So we're moving back into that strong sellers market. So again, I expect next week's, if the trend continues because of this 20% increase in inventory, I expect buyer activity to do at least a 20% increase over here, and we'll see what happens. but it looks like we're working into a strong market right here with a lot of activity. I mean, look at all these purchases. It's been quite some time since we've been in this having this much activity. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 7 days. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and I will see you next week on the next market report. Have a great week.